bei Phil Eklund von Sierra Madre Games. Und
Hello.
Wir unterhalten uns ein bisschen über The John Company.
Okay.
Maybe you can tell us a bit about the game first.
I can. I'm not the designer of John Company. That's Cole Weary, and unfortunately, he was not able to make it here from America. But this is a game that he's been working on for many years. It was partially inspired by my own game, Lords of the Sierra Madre, but he's incorporated his own unique ideas into this game about the British, one of the world's first joint stock companies that became really a government of India in the 18th, 19th centuries. And we've got a game here which looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 families, maybe even 6, 5 families that are competing for positions, various executive and sub-executive positions that are available in John Company. And you've got the company maintains its profits from the ships and goods that it generates, and these are controlled by the ships purchasing, goods purchasing, and also the chairman of trade, director of trade. So these little spots here are positions to be filled. This particular one is filled by player green. He's the ship's purchaser in this. So we've got green in various positions. The top position here is the chairman, and player blue is there.
Purple, it's $2. Green, it's $1.
So Charlie, can I disrupt your game and just ask you if you can tell me a little bit about what's going on in the game here? And anyone else can chime in too if they feel like it.
Of course. You're using your family. You're taking your family, which are symbolized by the cubes, to work for the John Company. You're going to try to secure yourself an executive position to make as much money as you can while making the company money. You're going to hopefully get a personal fortune, and then you're going to retire and score points into a prize cube. Like our last turn, the green player was able to retire into the House of Commons, which secured him 2 points and lets him gain 1 little vote during the voting process. The other player wasn't as lucky. He went into the South Seas firm and actually did not make any money. But he got 1 little point. But it was only the first round. They didn't have as much money as they planned to.
So one thing that I'd like to mention here is it is kind of funny that you're looking at a complex company, but each player in the company has their own individual goals, and they sort of want to retire into polite society. And that's what's represented by these victory conditions here.
You can see.
And another curious thing about this is that sure, you want the company to make money, but sometimes I found this out the hard way. The players have different goals. Maybe their goal, maybe it suits their purpose to tank the company, to drive it under. I don't know. Have you guys seen anything like this? Or are you all trying to make the company money?
In this game, we're not having it. Dave is being the best true blue chairman we've ever had.
Oh, really?
Dave
I
is
vote
gone.
for him.
Dave is gone.
He's got an honest face.
Oh, this guy is not Dave. Dave is gone.
Oh, Dave's gone.
Yeah, he's in your place. So Dave has
Oh, you're
not.
Philip.
He has not gone out of his way to tear up the company. He's gone out of his way to make sure it keeps running. So in a lot of games, there's a lot of players in the chairman position who can wreak some pretty big havoc through the turns, almost tearing it down, by their actions in their quest for that wealth. which is really somewhat a humorous situation.
Yes,
because
sort of.
you're
it's
running
a
that
wry look
fence
at company
between
hierarchy.
running a company and maybe running it into the ground, you know. So it's like
you wanna
you have
talk
to
about these,
play that line, you know.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the Evening Post?
So at every turn of the game, and there can be 10 turns to a game, sometimes in this scenario there's 6, there's a series of events where the elephant symbolizes events in India not under your control. So in this condition, it's going to move 3 places, and it's going to consider a random event that is going to change the conditions of the game in a good or a bad manner. Like a low dice roll normally helps the company by flipping depressed regions into prosperous ones. So everybody becomes more happy and it goes towards order. That happened last round, actually.
I kind of like this balance.
So, and then other times if you roll a larger number, these go on the warpath basically and take over other regions, and you have to either defend them or lose them to that area.
We should mention that
this company will attack all these areas on a random roll, and if it's one of ours, we have to use our guns and money to hire mercenaries to defend it. Otherwise, it's lost.
We should mention though that the different players. Like here's the Bombay presidency, that's the Hastings family, because he's got the exec. So he's interested in making money in Bombay, and so he doesn't care perhaps if chaos is distributed in Madras, which is under player blue at the moment. So the different divisions of the company are somewhat at odds with each other. Isn't that right?
Oh, for sure.
And I don't know if you've seen that yet.
There's been a lot of...
just got the presidency, so...
You just got it. Well,
our last president was deposed by just a terrible amount of coincidences and very bad management, in my opinion. Very bad management.
It's only your opinion.
So he got kicked to the curb last time. So we lost a chance at making a large amount of money. He did good by opening trade, but then he failed at sailing to those ports.
Okay.
So basically we did not make the money. And then of course, because of his unbelievably bad luck in a way, he basically lost his position. So we've elected a new president who's better in these positions, and he's going to lead us to a grand victory, I am sure. No personal gain, hopefully. Yes, he's just going to work for the good of the company. Yes, you're advising us. You're helping us.
no.
So we'll see what happens. She's just an observer. She's a conscientious
Well,
objector.
thank you very much for
You guys have fun. Nice to meet y'all.
And I think your games are quite unique here, the games you put out. It's games you not often see on the market. And how important is the theme over the mechanics for you?
Well, the theme comes first.
Yeah.
I choose the mechanics to try to represent the theme, or invent mechanics, or beg, borrow, steal the Typically I say, okay, this is the way it happened. How in the heck can I simulate this? How can I have this effect here? For instance, I'll give an example in this game. We've got Bios Megafauna, and the players are trying to get these mutations. And normally, in many of my games, getting cards from the market, you got to have money, currency. So you got to spend something to get these cards. And some are cheaper than others and the like. But I didn't want to do that here because I couldn't figure out what it was simulating. So I finally hit upon an idea that they don't spend anything, but they keep track of their population size. And it's pretty easy. This is player Black. He's the bug player. He's got 3 units not yet born. The rest of his units are on the map. The simulation part is that if you got huge populations on the map, big populations are very stable. they don't mutate very much, so he should have very small reach in the market. So we count these to see how far he can go in the market to get new mutations. If he had a tiny population, that would give him enormous reach. He would have all sorts of units here, and he'd be able to grab more. So this is a mechanism that tried to balance off the things that I wanted to simulate in this game. I didn't want them to be able to take any card they wanted. And yes, it's an advantage to have large population, but it's a disadvantage too in being genetically conservative or genetically static. So that's the sort of thing I go through, and I try to choose the mechanic that best, and we try all sorts of, and many fail, and we start over, and playtesters get exhausted and lose. I just learned it the old way, and so yeah, it takes a while, and that's the difficult and time-consuming part of developing a game.
And when I have a look into your rule books and with all those footnotes, I think it's quite a labor of love what you do, more than it's reading the rule book at first, and then kind of scientific literature. When I have a look at Pax Renaissance, I think double the content is the footnotes.
Yes.
I like it. I really like it. So you do historical research for your games? Do you go in archives?
I just have a library of books. I have my favorite books, and I try, but I use the internet too. I use Wikipedia. This is a pretty good thing to get obscure facts about small dynasties, because if you cover a certain point, part of the earth, some of these are not going to be covered as well as others, but you want them equally represented. So the internet is a fantastic tool to try to get some egalitarianism of map coverage. As in Pax Renaissance, you know, not so much on the Byzantium Empire or the Mamluk or something like this. A lot of it's on England and Italy, you know, Leonardo and all these things.
Sure, yeah. That's great. And do you think these games have a wide audience, or is it more?
No, you got to be a geek
You
got to be a geek to enjoy this. It's not for everyone.
Yes, I think so. But I think the geeks, they have a feast of the game. Yeah. It's
but of course, so many gamers are a mixture of all sorts, and you have to try to, when you try to get a game to the table, you got to have enough pull. And you got to have also that one dedicated gamer who's going to memorize the rules and teach it to the others. I depend on these heroes, without which I wouldn't get any presents at all, or no exposure to anyone except the geekiest of geeks. So without them, I wouldn't have any sales at all, really. But right now it seems to be blossoming for whatever reason. So I'm came out with 3 new games this year. Next year, 2 new PAX games.
Okay, great.
The third in the Bios series. This is the second. The third will be Bios Origins. High Frontier 4th edition is coming. I think a light version of High Frontier is also coming. So yeah, those are the future plans.
That's a lot of stuff. That's great.
Yeah.
And do you have any favorite period when it comes to history games? Or do you take? Would you do every age? Or are there any ages you would not put?
Well, I've done both dark and light ages, as it were. But the light ages, the ones that have brought us into era of comparative prosperity, such as the Enlightenment and the Renaissance, I'm most interested in those because they have advanced us so much. And I'd like to find out, hey, why? What was it? What ideas did they have? Why did these prosper and these not? How did slavery end? How was feudalism vanquished? And scientific, those are political things. There's also scientific advancements, as in High Frontier, the conquering of disease and the invention of science and chemistry. I certainly like to try to do another enlightening period, which is the ancient Greece. This has been done quite a bit, but this is really what launched Western philosophy and the beginnings of morality and many other important things. I'm going to take a lot of research to do that, but that seems to be the sort of era that I'd be interested, that really made a change. Now I've also done Pax Porfiriana, just almost a mindless struggle in a obscure corner of the world. But even in these, change was there, and you can sort of see the cause and effect of ideas upon a society, even in Mexico in the 19th and early 20th century. So,
quite a lot range, quite a huge range you do. Okay, thanks a lot for your time.
Well, thank you.
It's really interesting. And
all right.
Okay, I'm really looking forward to play the John Company. Okay.
Sure. Sign up if you got a chance. There's a sign-up sheet on the other side.
Okay, I will do. Okay. Ja, das war Chris für Parta Spiele mit Phil Eklund von Sierra Madre Games. Ich bedanke mich auf jeden Fall und wünsche noch eine erfolgreiche Messe. Have a very, very good fair.
Okay, thank you, Christoph.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, bye.